Yes, it's time for another album ranking. Today we are doing Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the biggest progressive supergroup of all time. That's right, Emerson, Lake and Palmer are one of my favourite prog rock bands. You could say that I absolutely really adore all of this stuff. To be honest, there's not one bad Emerson, Lake and Palmer album in my opinion. As you all know, Greg Lake came from King Crimson. We had Keith Emerson, that was from The Nice. And then we also had Carl Palmer, who was also from Atomic Rooster, and they came together as a super prog group back in the 70s to create one of the biggest influential bands of all fucking time. And today I'm going to give you a ranking of the 9 studio albums. Now there are some hit and miss albums in my opinion, but they're not bad. They aren't bad, but I think we all know what is going to come first, and in my opinion it is their weakest album. It is Love Beach. First of all, this album isn't a bad album in my opinion, it just lacks its cohesiveness. Now I just feel that, yeah, these 3 individuals were in pretty tight tension on this album, and you can tell because it seems like none of this band is actually working together. This album was forced as well. First of all, the fucking album cover looks forced, and the album cover is just a huge fucking turn off, with Emerson, Lake and Palmer standing looking like macho men, like they're from the 1970s porno. That's what it looks like, to be honest, and I don't really enjoy the album cover, but there are some pretty good songs like All I Want Is You. I really enjoy Canario as well, but then you got Epic Calls Memoirs of an Officer and a Gentleman. Memoirs of an Officer and Gentleman is an awesome 20-minute, I think, song, which is absolutely fantastic. I just really love the flow of that song. All I Want Is You, Canario, and Memoirs of an Officer and Gentleman are probably the best songs off the album. The rest sounds like 70s pop. Although there are some mix of really nice moments by Emerson on this album, along with Palmer's nice drumming. Greg Lake's vocals are pretty good on this album, although his vocals on this album isn't as great as the other albums I'm going to mention. So that's why Love Beach is last. Next up is Works Volume 2. Now this album is a very good album, but I just feel like they ran out of ideas from that epic fucking album that we got from Works Volumes 1. This is a good album, it's pretty tight, it's pretty cohesive, there are some really nice proggy elements throughout this album. Emerson's vocals, Emerson's really interesting sort of synthetic, crazy organ. There are some pretty good songs like Tiger in the Spotlight's a pretty good song, along with I Believe in Father, Honky Tonk Train Blues, which is a really awesome instrumental, and Show Me the Way to Go Home. I just feel like that ELP, we're running out of ideas. Good songs, When the Apple Blossoms Blooms, in the Windmill of whatever, I can't remember what the song is called. That's got a really catchy sort of hook to that song. But overall, it's a pretty good album. I'd probably turn it on now and again, but I wouldn't. This is one of my least favorite albums by this band, but it's not as cohesive as the other albums I'm going to mention. So next up is In the Hot Seat. Now this was ELP's last and final record, and you know what? It's not as bad as everyone thinks. No, it's not as bad. I didn't get it. This is a really good album by ELP, although it's not their strongest album. You got Hand of Truth, which is a great way to kick off the album. Greg Lake's vocals are a little bit Blaze Bayley on this album in my opinion. Like, it really does sound like a Blaze Bayley, especially on some of these songs, like just like the song Change, Everybody Wants It, Just a Little Hope and Honesty, Change. How fun and catchy is that song? You know what, there are some pretty catchy songs on this album. Probably one of my favorite songs off this is Give Me a Reason to Stay, which has an amazing guitar solo. No one talks about this song. It's got a really awesome guitar solo. I just love how epic and anthemic this album feels. I incorporated a lot of synthesizers on this. I know ELP were really struggling with their health issues as well. Carl Palmer had something wrong with his hands and he had to get them operated. So a lot of things were happening with this band internally, you could say. But there are some really good songs, like Street War is a really awesome song that I really enjoy. I love Greg Lake's vocals on that. Pretty intense song as well. He experiments with his vocals on this. And you got Daddy as well. There are some nice acoustic moments on this album. It's a good album. It's not a bad album like a lot of people are saying. I really enjoy In the Hot Seat. Well, next up is Black Moon. This is an awesome album as well. I really enjoy it. This is the reunion album. This was released in 1992, and I really enjoy the overall orchestral elements you were getting throughout this album. Like, you got the song Black Moon, you got Paper Blood, which has a harmonic harmonica solo on that song, which is absolutely fantastic. Affairs of the Heart, which is a interesting ballad. Then you got Romeo and Juliet, a remake of a reimagined classical piece. Farewell to Arms, which is a cheesy song, but it's still a good song. Okay songs like Burning Bridges, Close to Home, really nice piano moments by Keith Emerson. Interesting vocal work, a lot of energy on this album, where the other albums there were less energy. Well, this album has a lot of energy, and you could tell ELP sort of want to create this album. Black Moon again has some really interesting hooky choruses. Pretty solid album by this band, although the next albums I'm going to mention are like really tied up between my favorites here. First of all, I want to mention that there are some honorable mentions that I want to mention for ELP. Emerson, Lake and Powell, which is overall a fantastic album, but it's not part of the ELP franchise in my opinion. It's awesome. This is the album without Carl Palmer. It's a good album, really is, and if I ranked it, it could easily go above Volume 1. Enjoy the songs. This is a classic ELP style sonically. Next up is Pictures at the Exhibition. Not going to rank this as well, but it's pretty high. It's very enjoyable. I just love how it's a take of a classical piece of music. So Pictures at the Exhibition is overall a fantastic album, and I just really enjoy it, although I just can't rank it because it's not part of the studio albums by ELP. Next up is Works Volume 1, another very good album by ELP. This is when they started to incorporate more orchestral elements within their music, and there are some really awesome moments. You've got Keith Emerson's beautiful work, Piano Concerto No. 1. I believe each band had their own sort of section. You got Ches Leve, a very beautiful song, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Carl Palmer's work, like Food for Your Soul. And then you got, of course, then you got the whole band coming together again with Fanfare for the Common Man, which is, well, everyone knows Fanfare for the Common Man. If you don't know Fanfare for the Common Man, you really need to explore some more music, to be honest. And then you got Pirates to end off the album. Just love Fanfare for the Common Man. I think it's a piece that goes on for about 10-12 minutes, but that intro, everyone knows that fucking intro. I can't do it, but everyone knows that intro, and it's so damn good, and that's why Works Volume 1 is sitting here. So next up is controversial, I know, but I prefer other albums by this band, and it's their self-titled album and their debut album, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Very good album, it really is. Being probably Take a Pebble was my first ever Emerson, Lake and Palmer song I checked out. I absolutely fell in love with it. I just love how dark and dreary that song is. And of course you got the Hammond organ absolutely going crazy on this album. Keith Emerson really shines on this album, some bibbidi-boobidi moments, and Greg Lake's vocals are absolutely fantastic, and Carl Palmer's drumming is absolutely magnificent as well. The Barbarian's fantastic, and then you got Knife Edge, which is a pretty heavy song back in the day. There's hardly any guitar on that song, but it's still a pretty fucking heavy song back in 1970. So overall, really good album. But I got the deluxe edition. I have a deluxe edition of the album, and it's just overall a really, really good listening experience. And then of course you got Tank, that drum solo from Carl Palmer on Tank is absolutely fantastic. And you got, of course, Lucky Man. Everyone knows Lucky Man. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. Keith Emerson's solo you getting on this particular song as well. So yeah, Lucky Man's a good song, and overall, the debut album is a pretty good album. So this might piss a lot of you people off, but the next is Trilogy. Now this album is absolutely fantastic. Really love the instrumental moments, the prog elements. This is definitely your most sort of craziest sort of ELP album you could imagine. You got songs like Hoedown, The Sheriff, you got The Endless Enigma Part 1, Abandons Bolero as well, which is a really crazy sort of song by ELP, but your Trilogy album is a very good album by this band. A lot of people would have this at number 1, although I feel like there are just 2 albums that are slightly better, in my opinion. Just 2 fucking albums that are slightly better. But of course, then you got the From the Beginning. From the Beginning is one of the best ELP songs. Hello. Just the overall beautiful vocal melody by Greg Lake, and not to mention that beautiful guitar From the Beginning. So damn fucking good. It really is. And that's why From the Beginning is probably up there to be one of my favorite songs off the album. But overall, Trilogy is a good album, and it's coming at number 3 for Trilogy, you could say, but there are other better albums, and following this album is none other. Coming at number 2 is it's Tarkus. How could you not have Tarkus this high? Tarkus is such a good album. I just love how they begin with a fucking epic. Tarkus is so damn good. The actual song, all parts of this song are amazing. You get incredible vocal work by Greg Lake, you get amazing drumming by Carl Palmer, and some really awesome keyboard, piano, organ moments by Keith Emerson as well. Just overall tight and fluid and cohesive piece of work. And then you got songs like Bitches Crystal, which is a fun, upbeat song. Then you got Time and Place and Are You Ready, Eddie? Such a really awesome album. I play this album a lot and I never get sick of it. At times they are quite experimental and there are some really awesome, crazy moments on this. And that's why Tarkus is sitting at number 2. And finally, no surprise, a lot of people's favorite classic album by ELP, and yes, it is my favorite, and it's no surprise, it's Brain Salad Surgery. How can you not have Brain Salad Surgery as number 1? It's got Evil Car 9 on it. Evil Car 9 is one of my favorite songs of all fucking time. It is. It's just a beautiful, progressive piece of music. So damn good. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Welcome to the show. So good. And Greg Lake's vocals on Evil Car 9 is so damn good. I love all the up to the first impression to the third impression. The third impression has such an awesome, chaotic. Keith Emerson just goes absolutely insane on the third impression of Evil Car 9. Some really awesome guitar moments as well on this album. It's not just Evil Car 9 on this album. It's also got Jerusalem, Toccato. Toccato is such a good song, along with Still You Turn Me On. Such a good fucking album. A masterpiece by ELP. Evil Car 9 again is absolutely amazing, and everyone knows, I'm pretty sure everyone knows part 2 of the first impression. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. That's why Emerson, Lake and Palmer is one of the best prog rock bands of all fucking time. In my opinion, there's not one bad album by this band. Certainly they did experiment, move towards the pop section, Love Beach, but they still had that progressive flair throughout, even in the hot seat. There are some awesome songs as well on their newer albums. Yeah, Emerson, Lake and Palmer will always be remembered. I'm pretty sure Carl Palmer is the only one that is alive, which is sad because we'll never see an ELP record again. But yeah, let's just celebrate ELP for what they were. Guys, comment below your favorite ELP albums. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion? Keep discussion in the comment section below, and I will see you in